Hello everybody, it's Alan again, aka Chita, and today I'll make the first video based on one of you guys' suggestions. Now, I've been asked to make a video to add a new option. Let me run the program so I can demonstrate. The way that I'm going to do is that I'm going to create an option 5, which will display the top scores rather than just the recent score. And possibly an option 6 to reset it, so keep the same format, 3 and 4, 5 and 6. Alright, let's start. First of all, what we're going to do is we're going to create a variable to hold the top scores. So dim top scores. We're going to make an array, number of recent scores, so going to follow the same pattern as the recent score, except that it won't be the recent score, it will be the top score. So the recent score, there we go. And as always, let's make a little comment. Okay, so we've got an array with 4 elements, but we're going to ignore the 0 element because that's how the whole program has been doing, so that's what we're going to do. Now, what we're going to need is we're going to need to come to play game, and we're not actually going to make anything on play game. We're going to do update recent score. We're going to go there, and the reason that I'm doing this here, it's because over this procedure we have the score and we have the name of the player as well. So right after we get the name of the player, we're going to call a procedure that we are going to do. So I'm going to call it update top score. Now I know that I'm going to need two parameters. It's going to be the score and the array with the top recent score. But before I can do that, I need to actually pass it through. So what I'm going to do is going to add it here by ref, because we wanted to save top scores as the recent as the recent score. There we go. Now we've got 2 errors. We're going to fix it very quickly. But before we can fix it, we need to create another 2 errors. The errors are in here because once we called that, we're not actually using the parameters that, we're not using enough parameters since we added that one. So the parameter that we want to pass is our top score, which is on the main. So we actually need to pass it to the play game as well. So once again, by ref, top scores needs to be an array as the recent score, and more errors. Let's fix them. So all we need to do over here on the main is with the comma, with top scores, and over here top scores. Yep. Next one, same thing, with comma and top scores. And over here as well. Alright, now let's go back there. Now after we get the name of the player, we're going to call this function that we haven't actually created yet, but this procedure. So the parameters that we want to pass will be the top score, scores, and we want to pass the actual score, and the name, the player name. So those are the 3 parameters. Now it's giving an error because we haven't actually created this procedure, so that's what we're going to do now. We're going to scroll down up to the end, and we're going to make sub. Oops. Sub, not sun. I call it update top scores. Now, going to need The first one was the actual top scores, the array, so we want this by ref. Top scores as an array of data type t recent score. Then we want the actual score, so by val, because we don't need to save. Score as integer, and we want by val name. Actually, it was called player name, so let's keep it consistent. Player name as string. Okay. Oh, I forgot to press that. Okay. Now let me just check if I put this on the right order. Is it score and then name? That was on the update recent score. Is it update recent score? Okay. So the order that I made was top score, the score, and the name. Okay, cool. Let's go back there. Alright, now first of all, what we're going to do is, since there are only 3, there's no point of using any other searching algorithm apart from linear searching. So if you have done that, you might have been thinking of doing the quicksort, or sorry, not quicksort, the binary search, to make sure that the score that you have is not larger, like it's not smaller than the 3 that you have saved. But because there are only 3, if you divide it in half, you have the same number of checks as you would on the new linear search, and linear search is a lot easier to program, so that's what we're going to do. Now first of all, we're going to need a temporary variable, so dim temp, dim, not din, dim temp as it's going to be t recent score. Now don't worry about this warning, I'm going to take care of it in a minute. What we want to do is we're just updating, we're not displaying it, so we're going to for I is equal 1 to was it number of recent scores. So before we do that, actually, let's make the temporary variable temp dot name will be called player name, and temp dot score will be called score. Okay, now we can do it. For I is equal 1 to number of recent score, what I'm going to do is the index 1 will be the highest score, and the index 3 will be the lower out of the 3. So what we want to do is we're going to check the highest one first. We will see if the highest score it's lower than our score that we have saved right now, the score that we want to check. If it is higher, if the score that we have saved is higher than the one we want to save, then we don't do anything, we move on to the next index. If it is lower, then lower or equal, we switch them around. So we have the highest and the most recent one as the top score. Alright, so for I is equal 1, what we want to do is that top score sorry, not top score, we want to do if top score dot I dot score is less or equal, no spaces, then our temporary variable dot score. Then what we're going to do, that is going to be a bit tricky the way that I wanted to do, so I'm going to create another variable of the same data type, and I simply have pressed that, and this variable will be it will be a follower, so I'll call it follower. Right. Now first of all, what we want to do is that we want to save our current top score, the score that we're going to change, so we can use it again after. So follower is equal top score I, Now we can switch them around. And then what we're going to do is simply top score I will be equal temp, and then temp will be equal our follower. Now the reason I'm doing this last line is because once I finish this, we're going to loop again, so we want to reset that. We want our temporary variable to be the one that we're going to check. Now let's put some numbers so it makes more sense. I'll make a few comments in here. If we have like 5, 3, and 1 as our top scores, so 3 top scores, and the one that the user just did was let's say 4. Now what we're going to do is that first we're going to check, is 5 less or equal than 4? No, then nothing happens. Next one, is 4 less or equal than 3? Is 3 less or equal than 4? Yes. Then what we're going to do is that first of all we're going to have another variable here that will store 3. Then we'll switch this around to 4, and if we didn't do this stage, what we're going to do is that we'll check for 4 again on 1. That's not what we want to do. What we want to do is check for 3. Now I could say check on this variable, but then I would have to make them separately and couldn't use the loop properly. So all we have to do in here is 3, and this one will change if needed. If not, we're not even going to use this variable again, so like as is the case. Is 1 less or equal than 3? Yes. Then first of all this becomes 1, then this becomes 3, and then this becomes 1. Now if we had more, we check again for 1, but we don't, because 3 is our maximum index, and that would be our new top scores. Now that's all we need to do for this procedure. Oop. Just fix this, there we go. Alright, so now we have the update region score, which will happen every time the user finishes a game. Now what we need to do is to make it so the user can see the top scores. So first of all, let's scroll up here, and we want to do console.writeLine 5 display top scores, and I'm going to make it option 6 as well. So .writeLine, this will be 6, reset top scores. I'm starting to feel a bit concerned that for the purpose of these tutorials I'm going to have to change my validation, because if we add another 4 options, then one character won't be enough, because we have option 10, unless we start using characters like ABC for the options. You shouldn't need to worry about that for your exam, because I doubt that they will ask you to enter another 6 options. They might ask you 1 or 2, but definitely not 6. So the validation that we've made on tutorial 1 will be enough for your exam. Alright, now we display these options. Now what we want to do is to make it so these options will actually work. So let's go here, case 5, and then as always let's make our edit. I realize that I didn't add this comment yet on the bottom, so I'll do it in a minute. Edit. And now we want to do a display top scores, and the parameter that we're going to pass will be our top scores. Alright, as always when you have a little bug, before I do that I'm going to make also the case 6, so it's done, and this will be reset. What's wrong with my typing today? Reset top scores, and once again I want to pass top scores. And add these before I forget. Added. Okay. Now let's create these two procedures. Scroll down. Now, what are they? They are sub, display, top scores. We won't need by val because we're not making any changes. Seriously, top scores as P recent. Alright, what we're going to do will be for I is equal 1 to number of recent scores. So that's the loop ready. Now, before we actually display, it might be a good idea to clear the console. So console.clear, and then I'm going to make a nice right line telling the user that those are the top scores. Top scores. There we go. And then we have console.writeLine again. I'll make a few lines to separate. Should be enough. Maybe one more. And I'll make an empty line as well, so VBCRLF. And now we're good to go for the actual loop. So console.writeLine. Let's see if caps on. I and then we want top score I dot name, and then I'm going to make and a column, and finally top scores I dot scores. Wow, there's a lot of things. And after we do all of that, we will need to pause the program. So once again, we use our procedure that we created on tutorial 1, and that should be enough for the display. Now let's make the reset. Should be easy. Sub. I call it reset top scores. This one we need by ref because we're actually making changes to it, and we want top score. I'll capitalize it. Top scores and the recent score. Okay. This one is easy. All we need to do is let's make for I is equal 1 to 1 to number of recent score. Going to make, now there would be an easy way, but I'm slightly concerned that by using an index 0 we would lose a mark. What I was thinking to do is top scores I is equal top scores 0. As we have never done anything to index 0, that's an empty it's an empty both names and score, but that would be using index 0, and the preliminary materials had not said to ignore the index 0. At least they said that they would ignore the index 0. So again, it makes sense to ignore as well, even though it's a waste of space, memory space. So what we're going to do is top scores I dot name equal empty. Top scores I dot score. You know what? I had a bad idea. Don't need to loop it through. All we need to do is redeem top scores as number of. This immediately clears everything unless you put a comma through, I think. I believe. Comma through. Is that? No, that's not like that. I can't remember how to do. There's a way to pass a boolean value when you read them. Maybe it's like that. True? No. Okay, never mind. that would keep the data in, even though you're changing the size. But if you don't put anything, the default is false, and that clears the whole array. So let's run the program and see if that works, shall we? So we've got 5 and 6, so that's good. Let's display first so we see what happens. So I don't have anything saved. Might go back and make a small change to that in a second. Now let's play with one deck. I'm using the same code that I used for tutorial 2, so we'll choose the number of decks. Now it's a 2, so the next one will probably be higher. Yep. Now we got 5, so I'm gonna guess yes. Good. 7, I'm gonna guess no. Game over. Okay. We'll call it Chita. Now let's play it again. One deck. The Jacks was probably not going to be. Yep. So 4, so I'm gonna guess so. Game over. Okay. Call this one Alan. Once more. Now that's a Jack, so no. 5, so probably. 9, so no. 2, so yes. Game over. And I call this one Test because I'm running out of nicknames. Now let's display it. So we've got Test as the highest one with 3, Chita with 2, and Alan with 1. Good, that's working. Now let's see if option 6 will clear, and let's display. There we go, it's working. One thing that I realized when I pressed is that there's no way to actually tell that it cleared. So let's just make a nice little console.clear, and then console.writeLine. Make top scores have been cleared. Cleared, yeah. Apologies. I'm going to make. I forgot to close brackets. Then we're going to pause the program so the user can see. And let's run it again. Now we know that it works, so let's just check for this. Oops, go ahead and clear it. Okay, cool. That is pretty much everything we need to do for now. Except for displaying empty instead of this, in case we don't have any score, so score 0, and an empty name at the same time. So what I'm going to do is, if not, I'm going to open brackets in here because we're going to want a not for both of them. If not, top score I dot name is equal empty, and top score I dot score is equal 0. Okay, then we do that. Else console dot writeLine empty score. There we go. Okay, the reason that I need to do this check for both the name and the score is that currently there's no validation for the name. So if the name, if the user enters, if we're checking just for the name and the user didn't enter any name, and he had the score 52 using one deck, so perfect score, we would say that the score is empty, when actually it's not. At the same time, if we check just for the score, and the user, it's very unlucky and doesn't get any scores, and it's the first time you play it, so 0 it's actually one of the top scores, then we display empty when it actually shouldn't be empty. So we need to check for both of them. Maybe we have time. Yeah, I'll just make it quickly. It's not that difficult. So let's just go to update. Apologies, I pressed the wrong button. I accidentally paused my previous video. Let's go there. Okay. So what we want to do is in here, get player name 12. Now what we want to do is we want to come to here and we do until player name dot length is greater or equal to 3. So you need to enter 3 characters. We're going to do this here, and before we loop, let's just display an error message in case the user enters less than 3 characters. So if player name dot length it's less than 3, then console dot write line say please enter at least 3 characters. These a 3 character name. So it makes more sense. Maybe we want to pause the program. Let's just run to see if it's better to pause or not. I'm not entirely sure if I want to pause in there. Ace, so it must be a higher class. So I'm going to put no because I want it to stop. Game over. Oh, what just happened? Okay, this shouldn't have happened, but suppose you can't call length before you put it equal to something. Let's try it again. So it's what is it? Queen. So it's probably not high, so put yes. Okay, cool. Now let's try this first. Please. Okay, we don't actually need to pause the program. That's quite easy to see. So let's try 1, 2, 3, just to make sure 3 works. Okay, 3 works. So that's it, guys. Thank you for watching, and as always, if you have any idea for a possible implementation, drop a comment below and I'll probably make a video about it as I'm making this one. So once again, thank you for